Here with John Michael, the first house guest to be evicted from the Big Brother Canada house. John Michael, I have so many questions for you. I don't even know where to start, but I think I will start with how you made the decision to pair up with Santina in that HOH competition. What went behind that decision?
Oh my goodness. Thank you for asking because I've been asked a lot of questions. This one is a unique one. So in the fantasy of walking into Big Brother this year, I was so overwhelmed with joy and all these emotions. I quite frankly blacked out from when I walked through the door. And Santina was just like, do you want some champagne? And so we actually like was running around. There was this, I don't know if you guys saw this moment where I was like swimming through the kitchen with her. I actually found that like I was entranced by this woman, and I saw this really clever person who was trying to suss me out. Right, I felt that. I was like, oh, she's on it. She's not just partying with everyone else. She's on it. And we shared these like really cute moments in the kitchen. We were also in the library. Like there was all these like little things that came about. So when Arissa explains that the first competition, they're partners, this is the kicker of it all. I'm sitting there on my favorite side of the couch. That was my favorite side. This is my best angle. And I had two people in my peripheral vision. I had Zach, and then I had Santina. And I was like, whoever looks at me first, I'm going to be like, let's do it. Well, Zach wasn't looking my way. And so the moment she said go, I went straight for Santina. I'm like, would you be comfortable being my partner? And she said yes. And I'm like, perfect, let's do it. So that's really where it all came about, just based on first impressions. I shared magical moments with her that I don't really think she really thought of. So I know I sound like a fool. It's like a little boy crush on Santina who threw me out of the house, but it's my truth. It's really how I felt in that moment.
Looking back, do you regret the decision to help her win?
No, I don't regret it at all. I think regardless of how it played out, if anybody, if a man got a hold of that power, I think I would have been a really easy target for them. It would have been really easy to identify that I was going to think on my own, that I was a threat to everyone's game regardless. But I wish they had taken the time to work with me instead of just like, oh, he's too much of a comp piece. He's too much of this. Like they were just so afraid of me. And I was like, geez. And winning that first comp was a really good way to start conversations with people like Ty, with people like Rob, who speak very competition-y, and it really showcased my strength. And I was really hoping that showcasing strength would translate as I want this person as an ally versus we got to get this kid out first with the most extreme way to get someone out, a backdoor.
How much do you blame Santina for your demise versus the other players who unanimously voted you out? Do you blame sort of her more, or do you blame the people that voted you out more?
I blame Santina. All of it is hers. Like, yeah, people may have come to her with my name and people may have loaded up the gun with my name. You can name it all, but she ultimately pulled the trigger. She ultimately was the one that put me up on the block. It didn't have to be this way, right? Like when you are the HOH, there were literally 10 other names that she could have called out. She chose mine.
While you seemed to want to target the strong guys, you seemed to get along with Zach, even confiding in him that your plan was to get rid of the boys. What was it about Zach that made you connect with him?
Zach and I actually, in my scope, wow, I thought we had a really good relationship. I thought this was someone that he made me feel safe. I thought it was someone that I can trust. And then please take note that I'm speaking in past tense. Someone that I can trust and really go to. In that heat of the moment, in that pantry, when I said those things, I was actually so stressed. I was like feeling like so highly emotional, and I thought I was confiding in a friend when I said that. And how that entire conversation goes is like, I'm freaking out and I'm saying, like, I think Santina's going to put me up, but I don't know why she doesn't trust me because I'd much rather go after the guys than her. And I didn't really pin him with the guys because of the way that he was treating me. And again, I just feel like a piece of meat because he was just marinating me. And It's so sad. It's so sad.
In retrospect, and after Arissa confirmed that the boys were working together, like after you left, do you regret telling Zach your plan to target them?
No, honestly, it would have came out either way. I made this promise. I actually walking into the house, I had a plan to just play it dumb. Like what did HOH stand for? How do you even who is Vito? Like why is it called the Vito? Like, I wanted to play that character, but as I'm like walking through that door, and they're counting us in 5, 4, 3. I had this like I promised myself. I'm like, you know what? I think it would be a lot more pleasant for me to be true to who I was
Mhm.
and everything that I believed in, and just shine, right? Shine as the John Michael that you know to be, and that your friends know to be, your family know to be, and I had this thing where if I was a weak one, boot, I didn't want to walk out regretting not being truthful to who I was, especially to the house guests that were in there. I did make some genuine connections, and I look forward to continuing those relationships outside of those walls. And I am excited for them to walk out and be like, "Oh crap, this guy was being really honest, and he was just truthfully himself," And I think people did fear that. I think people did clue in, like, "Oh, this is who he is," and a lot of people were playing, a character, and I think that really shifted the gears.
Who
It
who
was
was
like,
playing a
oh,
character?
I think Zach was playing a character. He's pretending to be oh, I'm just here to like play it cool. I'm advising people. Oh, I get sleepy at 8 o'clock. Like, come on, Zach. Like, no one's buying that. But like that's his whole shtick, that he's just taking it easy. I'm not gonna win this game. But he's actually in the background running the house and showing his true colors. And someone like Santina, who again, I think is like playing this like, oh, I want to work behind the boys and like play this like scared game and hide behind them. And I'm like, I know you are more than capable of this. This is not who you are in real life. So why are you not being truthful to
Mhm,
yourself?
mhm.
It's those things.
I know you said oftentimes in the house that you were a super fan of the game, that you've like watched, every episode, every season. The next question to me, I guess, is obvious, which is, as a super fan, as somebody who like knows these shows inside and out, I think it's Big Brother 101. You never win the first comp, or you don't even try to win the first comp. Is it different being in the house and sort of seeing that you have the chance to capture power for yourself versus all these preconceived notions of like, I'm going to try and like throw? And how much did Dead Last have an impact in that?
So the impact of Dead Last was a really good twist. I think it really got the gears going. Like everyone going into the competition, all of our mindsets was like, just don't be last, right? Whether you were throwing it or not, don't be last. And it's funny because I do think that the net really genuinely trapped people. Like Shania girl, she was in there for like 30 minutes. I'm not even playing that down. Like that's gonna be a buzzer question, or a question that gets asked, like, how long was Shania in? But it I know that I didn't want it, and I hope that made it in a cut somewhere. But like I really didn't want week one HOH. Like when I was sitting there and I held those last two pieces of the puzzle, I knew how to complete it.
Mhm.
And I'm like, Santina, we don't have to win this. We don't have to win this. And she whispers in my ear, she's like, we do, because people are already looking at us. And I'm like, people, who are these people looking at us? So it like drove me a little bit, like it was a little bit fear driven, but also I didn't want to start off a relationship where someone would have been mad at me. And I just like trusted my instinct to trust this one person. And so I was like, all right, bang bang, check. And here I am outside of the wall. So
And we're almost done. Why was it important for you to target the alpha males? And in your opinion, were the women in the house on board with the plan?
It was important for me to target these alpha male characters because just in life, it's just so hard for me to connect with them. And so when Zach was giving me enough to feel like I was connecting with him, it made me feel like, oh my gosh, like this is like it hit me in a personal way,
Mhm.
without being too emotional about it. Like I was like, wow, I feel normal. There's this moment where I actually share a story about my friend, who the first person that made me feel that way, right? I just had trouble um connecting with people like that growing up in life, etc. So naturally, I knew it was going to be really hard for me to do that, and that's why I made the connection with Zach. I made the connection with Hope in hopes that they would like me enough to make sure that those guys never looked at me. And little did I know that Zach was just so insecure about who I was, and he had to do what he had to do.
And my last question then is, if you had the chance to go back and say anything to Santina, you know, like if you had a sort of chance for a final face off, like now that you're out, what would you say?
I would say that I have no respect for your game. Whatever angle this is, it's not who I thought you were. And I put my trust in the wrong person. Like, quite frankly, she is playing a game that I just have no respect for. This whole I'm going to be hiding behind boys, like, ugh, it's just like it's not anything that I want to ever support, because I do believe in strong female protagonists that won't be afraid to go up against them, because I do think that she's going to be a name in people's mouths moving forward, and it's really sad because they're just using her.
Amazing. John Michael, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.